Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. We're looking at how we can actually read the exact sequence of the dinosaur apocalypse, literally written right into the Earth's rocks. We all know the basic story, right? A giant asteroid hits the Earth and the dinosaurs go poof. But the reality of that specific day, it is so much more violent and frankly fascinating than just a big explosion. Today, we're unpacking this source material to get a play-by-play of the absolute deadliest day in our planet's history. This is what's left of the moment the world ended. It poses such an incredible mystery. I mean, how on earth do we know what happened minute by minute on some random day 66 million years ago? Well, it turns out the sky literally fell, and the smoking gun of this epic destruction is trapped right under our feet in layers of mud, ash, and rock. All right, Section 1, the geological vault. Let's talk about the core samples. To really get to the bottom of this, geologist Sean Gulick led this incredible expedition straight to the Chicxulub crater down in the Yucatan Peninsula. They drilled deep down into the Earth's crust, directly inside the impact zone, and pulled out nearly 100 linear miles of physical rock cores. And the scale of time these cores represent, it's just staggering. Think about normal geology. If you're looking at a huge rock wall in the Grand Canyon, a single foot of rock could easily represent millions or even tens of millions of years of history. But in these specific cores from the crater, 500 feet of rock equals less than one single day. It provides this amazing, telescoping, ultra-high-resolution record of the exact moment the asteroid hit. Moving on to Section 2, proof in the rocks. Let's look at the visible evidence. So inside these rock cores, researchers found something called shatter cones. Now picture this. When a 6 to 9 mile wide asteroid smashes into the Earth at 12 miles per second, the Earth's crust stops acting like solid rock. It actually starts behaving like a liquid. The shockwave rips through the rock at the speed of sound, and when it hits fine-grained material, it leaves behind these highly specific fan-shaped fractal patterns. Those are the shatter cones. And they are proof positive of a kinetic hypervelocity impact. There's literally no other way to make them. To really wrap your head around the sheer forces that create a shatter cone, just consider this absolutely wild number. When that asteroid touched down, it hit with the force of over 100 trillion freight trains crashing all at once. The atmosphere ignited. The thermal radiation unleashed was equivalent to nearly 9 billion atomic bombs going off simultaneously. 9 billion! This unbelievable burst of energy traveled at the speed of light, instantly incinerating every single bit of organic material within 1,000 miles. But here's the kicker. The evidence wasn't just found at the crater itself. Back in the 1980s, a geologist named Walter Alvarez noticed this highly specific, global layer of clay that perfectly marked the boundary between the age of the dinosaurs and the age that followed. Working with his father, who happened to be a famous physicist, he figured out that this layer was absolutely packed with iridium. Now, iridium is super rare on the Earth's surface, but it is highly common in asteroids. So this thin, dark line of iridium, found all the way from Mexico to Denmark to New Zealand, was the ultimate, undeniable clue that a massive space rock struck the Earth. All right, Section 3, reconstructing the day. Let's go minute by minute. As this asteroid is plummeting through the atmosphere, the air compresses and heats up to temperatures literally hotter than the sun. It likely vaporized the shallow Yucatan Sea before the rock even touched the ground. Okay, so step 1, the exact moment of impact. The asteroid and the surface rock instantly vaporize, blasting straight into the atmosphere. Step 2, the rock sitting directly below the impact doesn't vaporize. It just instantaneously melts. We're talking solid granite turning into liquid in a fraction of a second. Then, step 3. The Earth rebounds. You know when you drop a pebble in a pond and a jet of water shoots straight up? The Earth did exactly that. Granite from miles underground violently pushed upward, soaring nearly 12 miles into the atmosphere before collapsing outward to form a massive ring of peaks. And the craziest part? All of this happened in about 5 minutes. But, of course, what goes up must come down. The vaporized rock that shot up into space cooled down into these little glassy droplets called spherules. Billions of tons of these spherules formed a giant, fast-moving cloud that raced across the globe, raining glass back down to Earth. And while the sky is literally falling, the ground is rolling, like actually rolling in 6 to 10-foot waves. The impact unleashed earthquakes estimated at a magnitude 11 or even higher. That is way larger than any fault line on Earth is naturally capable of producing. And then there's the water. The unbelievable power of the water displacement is honestly hard to fathom.
Punching a hole that big into the Earth completely evacuated billions of tons of water, setting off a train of absolute mega-tsunamis. Simulations show these waves were up to a mile high. Think about that, a mile high. The wave was so massive that the bottom of it literally scraped and plowed the seafloor as it moved. When the water finally rushed back into the crater, it brought this chaotic, violent mix of debris with it, including what scientists call extinction charcoal, the burned-up remains of the local dinosaurs and plants incinerated in that initial blast.
Moving on to Section 4, Climate Whiplash, from winter to sauna. The core samples reveal this brutal two-part climate disaster. First came the impact winter. Dust, soot, and sulfur aerosols from all that vaporized rock completely blocked out the sun, plunging the Earth into a deep, permanent night and dropping global temperatures by as much as 50 degrees Fahrenheit. This freezing darkness lasted for decades. But then, once the dust finally started to settle, the Earth violently whipped in the completely opposite direction into a super greenhouse sauna. Heat became totally trapped, baking the planet for thousands of years.
And the cause of that massive super sauna? It all comes down to the exact location of the strike. The Yucatan Peninsula sits on beds of calcium carbonate limestone. So when the asteroid vaporized that specific type of rock, it instantly injected roughly 400 billion tons of CO2 straight into the atmosphere. This is a crucial, crazy realization. If that asteroid had hit just 30 seconds earlier or 30 seconds later, it would have landed in the deep waters of the Atlantic or Pacific Ocean. It would have thrown up water vapor instead of those climate-altering rocks. It likely wouldn't have been a mass extinction event, and, well, we probably wouldn't be here today. Because of that massive injection of soot and sulfur, photosynthesis completely stopped, and that triggered a total, catastrophic collapse of the global food web. Ocean plankton, the very base of the marine food chain, died off. On land, plants froze and withered away. Without plants, the plant-eating dinosaurs obviously starved, and as they starved, the massive apex predators that ate them starved too. These cold-blooded reptiles were used to a tropical paradise. They simply didn't have the metabolism to survive a cascading domino effect like that. Which brings us to Section 5, the mammalian rebirth. Life finds a way.
As the sulfur finally cleared from the sky, life aggressively reinvented itself. And the fossil record gives us this incredible timeline of recovery. In the empty oceans, simple algae and cyanobacteria bounced back fast. On land, within just 100,000 years of the impact, palm forests took over, and surviving mammals had already doubled in size. By 300,000 years, walnut trees appeared, and mammals grew to the size of beavers. Then, by 700,000 years, the protein-rich bean family evolved. Fueled by this dense new plant food, mammals absolutely exploded in size, becoming up to 100 times heavier than they were back when they were hiding from the dinosaurs.
Right in the middle of this explosion of mammalian life was a tiny, unassuming creature named Purgatorius. Fossils found in Montana, dating just 100,000 years after the impact, show this chipmunk-sized animal absolutely thriving in the New World. And here's why that matters. This creature is the oldest known member of the group that gave rise to all primates: lemurs, monkeys, apes, and eventually us. The extinction of the dinosaurs completely cleared the evolutionary path for mammals. The survival of this one little creature is the direct reason that you and I exist today. How wild is that? So, we're going to end today with a powerful quote directly tied to what we see in the scientific record. If you change the atmosphere rapidly, life can't keep up. These rock cores don't just show us ancient history. They show us the actual mechanics of extinction. The rapid CO2 spikes, the collapsing food webs, the ocean acidification, written right there into the rocks 66 million years ago, are starkly, uncomfortably similar to the metrics that scientists are measuring right now today. When atmosphere change happens too fast for evolution to adapt, life just resets. The dinosaurs couldn't control their atmosphere, but as we look at this undeniable evidence left in the rocks, the big question is, what are we going to do with ours? Thanks so much for exploring this material with me today, and keep learning.